Welcome to the USTA tournament. Welcome to all players and spectators. Thank you for being here. We are here today with NohatCoder and rabbitboy84. So we should see a pretty good matchup. These are two very good players. Previously we saw a match between Archvenison and Orphan was eliminated. We did not. There was another matchup between Ansel and Jooms where Ansel was eliminated. So we've got two players out of the running, and we've got a number of players still in the game. So hopefully we'll see lots of good games. Of course, the winner of this match will continue to go on to the winner's bracket, and the loser will still be in the running, but will be in the losers brackets. So we should see a good matchup from both of them. A quick thank you to Ben Wojcinski and to our sponsor, Wormwood Gaming, for both of them for what they do for this tournament and for our community. It's really great to be able to have these tournaments and to be able to award great prizes. So, let's switch over to the game and give them the go-ahead.
You don't introduce yourself.
Alright, I just gave them the go-ahead, so we should see them starting to play in any second now. Alright, so we'll probably, just as a quick primer, we'll probably see an adjacent corner opening. It could be, there's opening, so there's a corner opening, of course, and there's adjacent corner on A6. Nice center from White. White is no hat in this case, and we see a nice split across the middle. There's a black capstone from rabbitboy. Nice early capstone. An extension from white down, an extension from black down, and we continue to see these threats build. It's not going to pan out to a win, but it will be a pretty good threat. Probably see black's capstone capture in a bit. There's the attack threat. And of course black's capstone does capture. Maybe we'll see white's capstone, and there indeed is white's capstone. So black is looking maybe to fill at D2, maybe at E3. Rabbitboy is thinking maybe he'll move at B4. There's the B4 play. So we can see that will create a nice connection across the 6, 5, and 4 ranks. White is just going to continue building down this way with D2, and we can see that white is moving down the C and D files. So we'll expect him to play E4 or something like that in a bit, just to make it an attack threat. Maybe we'll see black play that in the meantime, or maybe we'll see black play E6 or A4. Either of those would be okay plays, but instead we see a B3 play. So looks like black is trying to move down this way, but not entirely. But white just gets in the way of that with B2, which also builds a nice threat across the 2 and 3 ranks. So white is slightly in the lead, both in terms of tempo, and well, it's just barely in terms of flats, just the standard one flat ahead. So, well, actually, I don't think so, because black has captured this flat. So, they should be about tied on flats. Black plays on C1, so we can see that, and white responds with D1. So we can see that white is building this way and building this way. So Black is probably looking to capture up in a second, or maybe Black will respond with b1 in a second. Probably not b1, but we'll see. We could see a2, but I don't like that quite as much either. If we do see c3 up, we'll probably see white fill in with a white flat. Or maybe white will just come out to e3. So let's see what Rabbit Boy decides to do. Rabbit Boy is looking, maybe Rabbit Boy will actually capture b4 over. No, but there's the capstone up. So are we going to see white come in at c3? Or is white going to try to make a play across the 2 rank? So it's now NohatCoder's move. NohatCoder is looking to... there's e2. I was kind of expecting that. Because that creates a threat across the 2 rank. It could have been e3, but e2 is just as good. I don't see much of a difference between those two plays, except that e3 would be a bit more edgy. So now Black is looking to maybe fill in at c3, which would threaten the c2 stat, or playing at e2. So we can see Black is creating a threat this way. So it's very possible that Black will next play e6. So white plays d3 up, bringing the capstone up, so that ready to block, taking away Black's road threat and readying it to go up again or down again as necessary. Both capstones are in the center, so they've got a lot of versatility at the moment. They can move all sorts of directions and have a lot of control, so that's always good to see from both players. Once again, Rabbit Boy is on the defensive line, so we'll have to see how he plays. Rabbit Boy throws down a wall to protect against white's threat, and also to prevent white's capstone from coming down onto d3. So we'll see how that pans out. As I've said before, I'm pretty bad about playing walls, so I don't know exactly when the best time to play them is, or even necessarily how to use them the best. So, but Rabbit Boy has something here in mind that hopefully we'll see this pan out into something useful for Black. White plays b1. We can see that white is still making a threat across the 1 and 2 ranks. So, but that's counterable by Black's wall. But white can come back down from c2 onto c1 and build across the 1 rank solely. So it's not the best for either one, but we'll see how this pans out. There, Black comes down onto a1, and white responds by playing onto a3, so we can see a kind of tack threat building up this way still. He's looking to capture here, but it's also getting in the way of Black's connection to come up this way. So that's a pretty good move from white. White is moving quickly and efficiently and still making good moves, while black is thinking, making good moves, but taking a bit longer in thinking, which is why black is a bit lower on time, only just above 8 minutes and a half, while white still has 12 minutes left. So there's a pretty decent disparity in terms of time. So we'll have to see how they play it from here. So black plays at c3 and white plays at f2, so that is tack. So we've got that tack threat from white. So black is probably going to respond by playing a2 over, or maybe c1 up. c1 up isn't that effective because then we could see a fill-in at c1, but that would not be a tack threat in response. We might see the wall decide to come down. We're probably not going to see... Well, there are a lot of options that are just plain bad, like playing at e6, because that would lose the game immediately. So we'll have to see something come over. But what exactly it is, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we'll see c3 down. Maybe we'll see this capstone come down. But we see a2 over, which was one of the options. So we can see black is still building a threat north-south across the B, C, and D files. White renews his tack threat, so that's tack again. So there's that stone, those stones, and B1 just needs to connect up, and that would be the game. So white is probably going to move A1 to B1, C1 to B1, C1 up, wall down. There are a few options. If C1 does move up, then a flat back at C1 would be a tack threat in this case. So there is that to think about. So B2 moves across. So we can see that black is still building up this way and has kind of defended mostly against white's threat across east and west. So this is on Nohat throws down a wall, which is a bit surprising in my mind. I didn't think that this was wall territory, but it does make sense because white does have a bunch of captives on c2 square, so he might be looking to jump up with his wall and capture those captives, and walls are pretty good at doing that. So we can just see that square has a couple of captives. So black should be looking hopefully to defend against that. Maybe black will make a tack threat, but by playing it b5, but then again that wall could just move on to c2, and then that would be a good position for white to be in with all those captives and be still having a bit of road threat this way, and with that wall being able to come up and down, that would be pretty good for Nohat. Rabbitboy is coming down on time. He's already down to like 6.5 minutes. So he's used up a lot of time here. So Rabbitboy needs to be moving quickly. Maybe Rabbit Boy will take the wall down now. But no, Rabbit Boy does decide to make the attack threat, and the wall does come over. So we do see the wall come over. So what plan did Rabbit Boy have in mind? Is Rabbit Boy just going to play e6 or a5 now? Neither of those would be attack threats, but those would kind of build the tempo for black. But at the same point, Rabbit Boy decides to place down a wall at b2, filling in that spot and also breaking up white's threat across this way. So Nohat is maybe looking to spread that wall up or down, or maybe just capture a2 down. Neither of those would be attack threats quite yet. I don't think I've mentioned it quite yet, but both of these players are quite a bit better than I am, so they're definitely looking at moves that I don't see, or they're thinking ahead a bit more than I am, so it's kind of hard to predict what they'll do, although sometimes I can do so with scary accuracy. And there is the wall down, so we did see that move. And we can see that it does have captives below it. So if white decides to capture from a2 down, then we'll see that would be attack threat with white being able to move that way. But that would be easily countered by moving the wall down, or by moving a piece down here, or moving this wall down, or something like that. So we'll have to see. Rabbit Boy is a bit on the defensive side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. White's only doing slightly better on flats, but it's not going to be the end all and be all. So we do see e6 from black. So we see that move. And it's definitely looking to come across this way. White plays at b6, which is an interesting move, but might be looking to jump on to b5. But is that going to be enough? Probably. But we still might see an a4 or an a5 play from black. But then we'll see b6 down and maybe a5 across and maybe c5 across and maybe b4 up. Probably not a contested, but there is the attack threat. So, and the white capstan comes up. So now we can actually see a road threat developing this way for white. So Nohat is definitely looking into other options for his road threat. So what's black going to do to respond? Maybe black will respond by playing on e5, or maybe black will respond by playing on d4, or maybe we'll see one of these other squares taken. So, Rabbit Boy is definitely thinking a bit and needs to come up with some sort of plan. Maybe f5 would be the best play. Connecting a bit, well, he decides to play down a wall. So he's definitely got a bunch of walls coming in here. All these different walls, doing all sorts of different things. White does decide to play at e4, so we can see an extension down this way, and kind of something down this way. And black just decides to get in the way of that by playing d4, so that's right in the center of that. So that's a good play for black there. But white can just continue making threats here. Well, it's not really a threat, but it's still a lot of presence that white can make. It's not attack threat, but white coming down would be attack threat, or playing at f4 would be interesting. Black decides to take f4, looking probably to capture at e4. And that would actually be an attack threat from black. So white is probably looking just to come down at the moment with this capstone. From that d5 to d4 play would be interesting, but can't do that. But instead looks to play f5. That's not what I was expecting. Maybe looking to take that f4 stone, but maybe also trying to take that f6. It's kind of hard to say exactly what that is doing. Maybe looking to create a bit of board fill. There's only 3 spots left on the board, so we might see a board fill game, but it's a bit unlikely because black still has a fair bit of move potential that would free spaces on the board. And there black does capture, and that is attack threat, so white is probably going to move in with, play a piece there, or move in with his capstone, or something along those lines. But Rabbit Boy is hanging by a thread here. So we'll have to see how Nohat decides to address this. And there's a wall. So that's probably looking to come up and capture e4. It's also make sure that that capstone can't just come and crush. So it's definitely an effective play in terms of blocking things down for the time being, but it also doesn't help white develop any road threats. At this point, it's kind of hard to say anybody will be developing any real road threats. There are a bunch of walls out on the board, so that's blocking a lot of stuff. And once again, it's back down to Rabbit Boy's turn, and Rabbit Boy is still fairly low on time. And look at this time disparity. NohatCoder's at 11:21. Rabbit Boy is all the way down at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So Rabbit Boy really needs to be thinking quickly, which unfortunately, the faster you think, the more likely you are to run into some trouble. But there's a capture. I'm not entirely sure what that's doing, but white just responds by filling in. So maybe black will just play at f3. So we'll have to see what black decides to do, but there aren't that many options. And there is the f3 play. So maybe black is looking to move that wall down in a second and make a attack threat. But that attack threat won't last too long. There are definitely definite options for white to respond. But still. So white plays at f5, a5. Not. That's that's an interesting play. Honestly, to me, it looks like he's going for a board fill. Because there's only 2 spots left on that board, but black can move down, and then I guess white would fill in, or board fills are always hard to achieve, but they're an interesting game mechanism. So I'm still thinking that this wall comes down and that would be attack threat and white would need to defend against it. I mean, wouldn't simply be able to go to board fill. And there the wall does come down, so that is attack threat. That is attack. And white does just fill in there. So black is in a bit of trouble here. Maybe black decides to move over with this stone and capture again and renew the attack threat, but then or come bit down that way. That also is now attack. But now this wall can come down. Or maybe white will just continue to play flats down and play, well, can't play flat there because it's attack, but still the idea is, well, it's not done, but so that wall coming down, this flat could come down, this flat could come up, this flat could come up. This flat coming up would be countered by this flat, the f4 flat coming down, and that would be good for black because that would reduce the board fill and capture white pieces and stuff like that. So white can no longer move up to here because of the capstone. So, but this in no way means that black is doing well. Black is just still hanging by a thread, trying to keep up his points and trying to not lose on time. And there is a capture from white. So now it's black's turn to move, and maybe black is looking to throw, and that would be attack threat again, and would block down this, but would potentially leave this line open. That line isn't really aligned, so we'll have to see. And there is the spread that I was just talking about, so that is attack again. So that c3 square is probably where white's going to move next. And then we'll probably, well, filling in with that c4 square would be okay for black, because that would be attacked because of the capture, but still wouldn't be amazing. But it would be fine. And there is the c3 fill. So are we going to see a c4 fill, or are we going to see this d3 come over? Are we going to see b3 come over? b3 coming over would be pretty good, because that would actually be two connections, but at the same point you could still bring that wall into bear. And black needs to be deciding this pretty quickly. So I kind of prefer the B3 capture over the D3 capture. But we'll have to see what black decides. He could, of course, as I said, play at C4, and that would be attack threat, both coming this way and coming that way. But interesting. That is attack threat. That is because the C5 stack can jump down this way, and that would be tack. I'm not sure what else that accomplishes, but I like it. But Rabbit Boy is very long time. And Nohat just moves the capstan over. And that's not an attack threat, but I was kind of hoping it was. But Rabbit Boy is just on his own, trying to find a path that doesn't lose on time or pieces. And there's a wall. So there are a lot of walls out on the board. And there's a flat from white at D5. That is not attack threat, but I don't think there are any real attack threats left on the board. Even with this wall coming down this way, that it would be kind of hard to find attack threat. Or attack, rather. Black decides to play at F1, which is an interesting play. I'm not 100% sure what that is aiming to do, but it looks... And especially since it's edging towards board fill, which white might want to do. White might just want to play flat at B5 and then be a lot closer to filling up this board. White is also fairly low on flats. It only got 5 left. And there's an E1 play. So that does protect against F1 or whatever. And also did go towards board fill, and black comes down with F3 minus, and white just fills right back in. So that wasn't tack, but I was kind of hoping it was. But maybe what black is looking to do, well, black can't just move on top of there next, because then white would fill in here, and that would be game, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 flats for white to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, but black decides to plot on. And white is just continuing to contest by playing flats and only has 2 flats left. So white could definitely win this game on flats. Black definitely needs to make a move here, because black can't just place, because that would be game. So black does need to make a move to do something. Maybe black will capture down, or I guess he decides to capture this way, and that is attack. So there are still attack threats on the board, but it's still not, because we'll probably just see a b3 play from white. And then we'll probably just see maybe this wall come up. There is the b3 play. Or maybe we'll see this come back over. But it doesn't really matter because white only has one flat left. So regardless of what black does, even making that attack threat, white can just play it down and there it is, and there's the flat game. So good job to NohatCoder for that first match. I'm going to transition to the intermission just briefly. So somebody will hopefully count up the score here because I'm pretty bad at counting up the score. And we'll see if they want to go again immediately. Or if we're going to take a bit of a break. Okay, looks like we had a bit of a break and players are getting back up and ready to play again. I'll give them go ahead in a second, and we're gonna move on to their game. So rabbitboy this game will be playing white, and NohatCoder will be playing black. So NohatCoder won the first game. I think the tiebreaker points are about 30. And so rabbitboy has quite a lot to catch up on. I just gave them the go-ahead, and we should see them start up in just a second. So rabbitboy, we see a corner opening, adjacent corner opening. So we'll probably see some stuff in the center in a second. Maybe rabbitboy, there's a far center, but still center move. And directly opposed, we'll probably see a middle split. But no, we actually see a diagonal split. And with the capstone from Nohat coming right up into the other center, delta from white, and delta from black, and sort of trifoil and blocker from white on here. So we can see some interesting shapes come up into play. Here's a bit of a ladder and a bit of an extended scout and whatever that's called. And a bit of a ladder from black. White comes in to infiltrate that ladder and also create a bit of a delta. No capstone from white yet, so white is playing a bit hesitantly. I guess trying to keep that capstone in reserve, but we'll see. Maybe that will be a bad decision for white in the long run, not playing the capstone early. But we'll see. And we can see that white was coming down this way, but black just got in the way of that by playing f2. And we can see black is kind of developing a threat this way. So we'll see how that pans out. And white kind of interferes with that at b4, but also we can see a threat on the 3 and 4 ranks develop, which we will probably see attack threat in just a second by playing on to a4. Attack threats early game aren't always the way to go, but still it creates tempo as long as it's doing something good for the player. I approve of it. So black decides just to come over with the capstone. White might just place his capstone on d3 now, but that's debatable as to how good that is. Maybe a flat at c2. So we'll have to see what white decides to do here. And there is the capstone at d3. I wasn't so sure about that, but apparently rabbitboy likes that move. It creates a bit of a citadel, which I think I misspoke on a previous stream and said it was rabbitboy who coined the term, but it was actually Tayakon who coined the term. So, but we still use it nevertheless. This formation is called a citadel. And black comes up and plays here, so we can see a bit of a threat coming this way from black, and a bit of a north-south threat from black, and maybe even something across this zigzag from black. So there are a couple options for black here. So white is probably looking to get right in the middle of that with c2, or apparently to come up in with that, and that was attack threat. So black just responds by backing up with his own capstone. And did rabbitboy have something to follow that up with? Maybe he was surprised by that move. Maybe rabbitboy will actually take this c3 square that was just vacated. Maybe he'll decide to come in back on d3 and reestablish that citadel. But rabbitboy is definitely going to think about this for a bit. I think either of these two plays are pretty good. But, well, the benefit of this is that citadel structure means it's well defended, so even if that black comes up, white can defend. Black comes up here, white can defend. Black actually can't come here, but if black were able to come there, white could defend, except for the capstone, so you get the point. Which is why citadels are fun. White is taking a bit of a time here to think about this. Maybe he's looking at something that I don't see, but deciding to play a wall. Not what I was expecting, but it does prevent black from coming immediately down there and kind of pins the cap in. I mean, the capstone was already kind of pinned in. Black connects to here. That's a bit of a short ladder, so we can see a presence developing this way on the board. So white might just play at c2, might move that wall down, but I don't see that wall coming down anytime soon. And especially that capstone can crush the wall. So even if the wall did come down, black could play here or here, and that would be attack. Maybe white will come up from f1 onto f2 to cut that off, and also kind of establish something coming up this way. Or maybe we'll see something at d3. So then if we saw something across here, we could see d3 come down. Rabbitboy again is taking some time to think. And there is c2. So that was one of the suggestions I made. And black just decides to play a b3. So we can see that this capstone is kind of ready to connect those up. That's not quite attack threat, but you can see that there's something kind of developing this way on the B and C and maybe A files. So we'll have to see how white decides to respond to that. Will white capture onto d2? Will white capture onto b2? Will white capture this way onto b3? Or apparently just play a3. I guess that's just a bit of a defensive move to kind of get in the way there. Also has some influence over here, but it's an interesting move. So we can see that this is coming up here. So this wall is nicely in the way of this capstone being able to come up onto that square. So that's not attack threat. But if that wall were there, or even if that blackstone comes there, that is attack threat. So, but white can white needs to think carefully, because that wall can't come down, this can't come down, or I guess this could come down, but then this would come up. Maybe white just wants to defend at this end, f1 up. So we'll have to see. So NohatCoder is again proving to be a very good player, and proving to just, even as black has established tempo and is seeming to take control of the game. Maybe we'll see a road win this time instead of a flat victory, but rabbitboy is definitely going to be able to put up a good fight here. Oh, that's why this coming down doesn't work, because there's that fill for black, so there's that fill. I knew there was a good reason, and that's also why this can't come down. This could come across this way. So there's very limited ability stuff that white can do. White can come this way, or white can come this way, or white can come this way. And that's pretty much it for white. There aren't really many other options. Best is possibly this, the F3 down. Or, I guess white decided to play F1 up. I mean, that's also a pretty good play in terms of the various options, but black is probably going to play F1, or I guess decide to capture that way. But now we'll probably just see white decide to recapture. That would be my guess. But if white recaptures, then we'll probably see a wall coming on to E2. There is the wall on E2. Maybe this capstone will come down. That capstone can come down, so that's always an option for something. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this run away up this way. And there is the run. But now black can come and play F2, or apparently decides to play D1. White probably wants to get in the way of something here by playing at E1 or at F1. F1 is a bit more tempting here because there is that row threat up this way. But white decides to play at E1 here. So we might see from black playing F1, or we might see, well, we're apparently a wall at F2. Not sure what the goal of that was, but it does shut down white from coming to do any row threats. But it also puts black at a bit of a disadvantage. Maybe black is looking to create some row threats in other directions. Just as a quick flat count, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 from black, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 from white. So white is up by 1 flat, but probably it won't be enough for white to win. And once again, there's a huge time disparity between rabbitboy and NohatCoder. NohatCoder's playing quickly and efficiently, with well over 13 minutes, over nearly 14 minutes. rabbitboy is all the way down to 6.5 minutes. So who knows what'll happen, but hopefully this won't come down to time. So maybe we'll see this capstone come down. Or maybe we'll see this flat come over. It's kind of hard to say. And we see 2d4 minus. So the capstone did come down, but only by 1 square. But that is a tag threat, and it's a pretty important one, because that can come and crush that wall, and that would be tag. And this capstone can't come in the way and defend it. So we need to see something pretty important elsewise. Maybe this flat will come up, or maybe one of these walls will come up. But even if one of these walls come up, then we can see a flat coming onto D3, D4. And that would reconnect up this way. Or apparently you see that this come across, which I don't know if that helps or not. Maybe a bit, but now white can play A3, and that would be attack threat again. And then black would have to move down this way or something like that. That would be attack from black. And then white would potentially move on to B4. So, whatever. Something like that. But even if there are a couple reasons to play at A3 for white, because black also wants to play at A3, because that would be attack threat from black, because that coming across down this way would be attack. So even just to defend against that, playing it A3 makes sense. But it also makes sense because it's attack threat from white, because you've got this attack threat. So that would be my instinctive play. Or is he disagreeing with that? Is he going to play something else? Is he going to come down with these and run on top of these? So we'll have to see what Rabbit Boy decides to do. And there are definitely a couple options, but the one most obvious to me is playing a flat there. But we might see E6 come over, which would not be attack. We might see D4 played. Because that would also block black citadel up here. Maybe we'll just see the cross happen now, and that would be attack, and it would still be a nice hard cap with a deputy underneath. So we might see that. But we do see A3, and that is attack threat from white. So once again, this is attack. So, and there's the wall, the capstone down, which is what I was predicting. So that did need to be a wall, because if that were a flat, black would have just spread up on top of the flat. So that wall did need to be played. And that was a nice quick play from white, as opposed to the thoughtful plays we've seen before. So that capstone is a bit cornered here. It can't go this way, it can't go this way. So it can try to come back this way, and it can kind of try to come this way, but it's pretty cornered. While white's capstone is still nice and central and still pretty mobile, so, and has a nice deputy beneath it. So white is slightly better in that regards, but black still has better time. It's kind of hard to say who has better board control at the moment, especially with these walls in the way. We see E3 plus, SB4 and E3 E2 plus. So we saw this wall come up from black. So that wall is trying to get into the game, being useful, and also cutting off white. But white just comes and fills in. This is not quite tack, but we can see something potentially developing this way. So black needs to be a bit careful there. But Nohat definitely has the time to think things through, as opposed to Rabbit Boy, who is really low on time. And there's the other wall up. Still trying to gain... Well, it's not really gaining ground, but it is blocking off white's progress, and is also potentially enabling black to spread and reveal some black flats, cover some white flats, gain some points. So even if this comes down to a tiebreaker, black could... Nohat could win on the tiebreaker. I'm surprised we didn't see this come over and then that crush would have been tack or something like that. White comes over, then crushes. That is a tack threat. That is tack. So this is tack from white. And black, but black can defend. Black can move up. Black can move down. Black can't move this way anymore, but even if we see this from black, we'll probably see move here from white. And that would be tack again. Or we might see it up here, playing at f6. So this is definitely exciting. I know... I am kind of just waiting to see what's happened next. I really would like to see something played here. That would be great. Either of those would be tack threats. I mean, interesting. Wall here, I guess he's looking to come in up and come near this space and have it pretty unassailable. And then we'll have a nice reveal threat. So what's black going to do? Maybe black's going to come on and play his own wall. But I don't know how effective that's going to be. But maybe we'll still see something like this or this or this from black, which would all be tack. There is tack from black. So all black needs to do is crush this wall right here. So what is white going to do? White can't crush this wall because that would leave a black stone here, and that would be leave black able to fill in right there. So that's not valid. But white just moves up and captures that way. And black moves over, and that is a tack threat again. That is tack again. So all black needs to do is fill in a d4. So white might just... White can't move the wall that way, but does decide to move the wall this way. So we might see black move this way or something like that, and that would be tack again. Or moves to fill in there, and that is tack. And black definitely has more flats on the board now than white. So that's good for Nohat. And a capture this way, that kind of undermines White's the row that White was growing, but it does help defend against the attack threat. And Black just comes up on top. So that's a lot of captives from Black, and that's a pretty weak cap, but still is probably able to move a bit. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flats underneath the Black capstone. So we can see that pretty nicely, right like that. That's tack again, because that's coming up this way. And all that needs to do is come up and do that, but we'll probably see this wall come over, especially because that will renew something along this lines, but... And that's indeed what we see. So maybe we'll see Black come across this way, something like that. Or apparently Black decides to jump up here, and that's tack threat again, coming across this way. So we'll probably there's the capstone up. I was just about to say that, and that is tack from White, and so Black probably needs to play a wall here or move this wall in. One of those two. There's the wall move in. So the question is, what are we going to see now? Are we going to see this come up here and grab some captives and grab some whites? Maybe we'll see a play at f6. It's kind of hard to say. This is a pretty tough position for White. Black still has more flats on the board than White does, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like even if White wins, Black will win on tiebreakers. That would be my bet. So and we see a play at b4? We see this wall coming to bear. Maybe it's looking to start up and start collecting up flats on the board. And we see in response f2. Oops. So that's not a attack threat, but it looks like it might be trying to develop into one because it captures here, and then that would be tack. And there's the capstone just capturing onto that. So maybe White is looking to create a road up this way. There is only one white flat there, so the most it could do is come up here and here. So we saw that black moved here, and in response, white moved here. And we see b2 from black. So we can see a nice, look at this structure from black. That's a pretty solid structure. It's not doing anything in terms of creating attack threat. But once we do see f2 over, even f1 over, then we'll have a pretty solid attack threat. It won't be unassailable, but we will see some good play. I'm betting from white next we'll probably see something like f3, but I'm not sure. Or apparently we're just going to come down onto f2, this f4 stack running down. And black responds by coming up here, and he's looking to sort of create a connection up this way. So we'll probably see f4 from white, just to get that in advance of black. Either that, or he's going to play a wall at d3. But he does decide to play the f4, and black decides to respond by playing f5. So that capture is very possible. So are we going to see that wall now from at d3? And there is the wall. And black just continues to place flats. Note that this is not attack threat. But you can definitely see that they are struggling to keep control of the board. I mean, black definitely has a lot better control at the moment. This piece right down here is very solid, but white still has some ability to do stuff. But look at white's time. White is just hovering under a minute mark, so white needs to be moving quickly. So, and as opposed to black's time, where black is still at like 12:50. So we'll probably see white lose on time at this point, unless white can come and do something clever. So we can see that this capstone did come over for white, and it's probably looking to come this way. But black just fills in here. And we can see black has very few flats left. So he might be looking for another flat game. And there's white coming over. This isn't tack, but it's looking to become tack. But I expect we'll probably see black fill in or something like that over here. I mean, but which would be tack from black. But we'll probably yeah. Because this can't come up here, but this can come here. So let's just come down and look at that. White comes down onto here just to defend against it, and now white is building up a nice bunch of captives, but it's probably not going to help in the long run, especially with black having only 3 flats left. Black is probably just going to try placing his flats out at this point. Winning on flats again. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So maybe we'll see A5 or B5. Maybe not A6 or B6, but still very possible. We do see B5. So there is B5. It's not, I mean, there is a potential attack threat there, but it's probably not going to come down to the attack threat. It's probably going to come down to the flats game, which we can see now black only has 2 left. And white is just placing a piece in hopes to do, I'm not sure what, because it looks like black is just going to move and play at B6, or apparently at A6. I think B6 would have been the better play here. White can't play at B6, because that would be game. I mean, it's basically game anyways, no matter what white does. So unless there's attack here that I'm missing, it is game, and it's going to be black's game again on flats. At the very least, maybe we'll see B3 down. And then hope that black misses the attack. Or this way. Just as good. It's attack threat, but there's the flat game. Good game for black, so Nohat wins and is continuing on to the winner's bracket. Rabbit Boy is on to the loser's bracket. Good game to both players. Good set of games. So we should hopefully see some continued good games from all the players. It was great to have people watch this stream. And big thanks to all of you. Big thanks to all the players. Big thanks to Word More Gaming for sponsoring us and for giving us great prizes to give out. Big thanks to Ben Wojcinski for being a fearless TAC leader and for letting me stream. And of course, for those of you who don't know, I'm N. Karen, and I do some commentary from now and then. And this has been a great fun. So I'm going to sign out.